Welcome back, Kingdom Dreamchasers. So excited to be with you. This is a very special part two episode. Petra Krebs, hopefully you are tuning in because this is going to be, I'm in the hot seat today, ladies. Normally this doesn't happen, but Petra's got me in the hot seat. And so if you were with us for part one, we went through Clifton Strength Finders. I completed and now we're going to go through my results. And Petra's going to be asking me questions. So very interesting. I'm not sure I understand it all, but that's why this is just raw and real. And you're going to get to hear Petra kind of coach me through this. This is I'll let her explain everything, but allow me to just briefly introduce her again. I know most of you have probably heard part one, but Petra, not only is she a dear friend and were we together in a company in our lives past, but Petra is a keynote speaker. She's a leadership and team trainer. She's an executive coach and corporate consultant with over 2 decades of professional experience in sales and leadership. And I can vouch for her. Her mission is to ignite the unique power of individuals, teams, and organizations. And as a dynamic motivator and strategic guide, her authenticity and expertise lead you through transitions, sparking lasting positive transformations with her unique Power of You programs. So you are going to want to connect with Petra, and you'll be able to do that in the show notes below. And some of you might be really interested in this Clifton Strengths. And so we're going to go ahead and just jump into, I'm going to turn it over to Petra and let her lead us in this discovery.
Ah! I know. Are you shaking a little bit, Gail?
I'm excited. It's unusual for me to be you know
In the
not
hot seat.
in the hot seat, not leading the conversation. So this is a good lesson for me. I mean, I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, I know, right? Just when we think we have nothing left to learn. Not that you and I feel that way, because I know we're always growing and stretching ourselves, but I just want to say hi, Kingdom Dream Chasers. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. And really, you're not in the hot seat, Gail.
I
You're
know.
in the
We
safe
call it
seat.
a love seat. We call it the love
Oh, you call
seat.
it a love seat. Oh,
Call it
I
the
call
love
it
seat.
a safe seat. So you're in
Oh,
the
yeah.
love seat
The
today.
love seat.
I love that. And the whole purpose, it was so funny because when you had me on as your guest for part one, um, it was really to do what you do so well, which is highlight others, bring something to the table that could hopefully help someone in their business. And both of us, are had our own direct sales business and our own team. And then when we started talking, you're like, maybe I should take this assessment. So I'm like, actually, you need to, right? And so then we thought it would be really fun to come on here and do a live coaching with Gail. So we don't have, usually when I do a strengths discovery session, it's a 90-minute session. And I have a special bonus for the Kingdom Dream Chasers as well. So you'll get a discount for that session that I usually do. And then if people want to continue or they have a goal, then we'll coach them, for however long that is. But just to dive in and scratch the surface, we're gonna just do a little mini session for,
Good. I love it.
so people can understand what is Clifton Strengths and why does it matter that I take assessments at all, any of them, and
Mhm.
what they can do. And in your case, Gail, you serve people so well, and who you serve, those individuals are also leaders serving a team, serving their clients. And I think
Mhm.
it's really important that we are self-aware. And I always say self-awareness means that you are other aware as well. So we talk about emotional intelligence. We also talk about relational intelligence. We
Mhm.
talk about self-awareness, and the world talks about social awareness. And so knowing self is that beginning.
Yeah.
And I know you know yourself. And I felt, even before Clifton Strengths, I'm like, I know myself, I know who I am. But it really gave me another lens into some of this language, some of my strengths. And I just want to walk you through that a little bit
I'm
and give
enjoying it.
that gift of coaching to you. Because why do you need a coach, Gail?
Oh, always need a coach. Yes, yeah, I feel very strongly about a coach being, if I'm going to be a coach, I need to be coached.
Yes.
right?
And both
So,
you and I
yeah,
have had coaches in our life and people, and I
absolutely.
have a business coach now, and I have
Yes.
people who, pour into me, and we've
Mhm.
certainly done that for each other. And so this will be fun. So I'm really excited. Are you guys ready to learn about Gail Root? What are her superpowers? The ones you can't see, the one that Clifton, right? Don Clifton with Clifton Strengths, has pulled out with this assessment. So I'm going to share my screen for a little bit and then we'll take it down. But I want them to see what the assessment looks like, what it's about, and then you
Mm.
have yours in front of you, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we're gonna dig in. We're gonna be a little small here. We're gonna and then we'll bring us again to the forefront. But this is Don Clifton, who is unfortunately no longer with us, but he created Clifton Strengths, and his grandson actually is the CEO of Gallup. And so Clifton Strengths is a Gallup tool. Gallup is an 80-year-old research company, and you may have heard of the Gallup polls
Mhm.
and such. And there's so much data at gallup.com. And at gallup.com is also where you would take the Clifton Strengths assessment. So this is apart from my practice that I do in consulting, but that's where you take the assessment and you can take your top 5 or you can take your full 34. And Gail took her full 34 assessment because I recommend it because you know your top strengths, but you also know your bottom strengths. You know
Mhm.
your strengths, right, and your weaknesses and how to manage them for an
Mhm.
overall well-being and to ignite your superpowers in your business and in your life. And so I love this quote because this is why Don Clifton created Clifton Strengths. He said, "What happens when we think about what is right with people rather than fixating on what is wrong with people?"
Mhm.
So many of us, right? We want to know, okay, what can I fix? What do I need to do? I need to be this perfect person, right? Or well-rounded person.
Right.
And Gail, what is the first thing you said to me when you got your Clifton Strengths assessment?
Well, they're broken down into colors. I think it's 4 different colors, right? Or 5?
Yes.
Is it 5 different colors?
It's 4, and I'm going to pull that up right now. These are the
Okay.
4 different domains, right?
Mhm.
So you've got
Yep.
the purple, orange, blue, and green. Go ahead.
So I had a lot of orange and I was like, I want to be more well-rounded than that. I want, why did I have so much orange? I read only had a little purple, mainly orange, but I was like, gosh, am I not a relationship builder? And strategic thinking, yeah, analytical, that's pretty much not me. But I was surprised there wasn't more of the relationship building. There was more orange, just a little purple. So it was a very interesting.
I know, and we're going to dig in because this is the number one thing of any assessment that you take that I want you to take away from today.
Mhm.
You are more than an assessment.
Yes.
You are your life's work, experiences, your DNA. However, this gives us clues to how we operate and how we show up. And
Mhm.
it is not if you know how to execute, influence, relationship build, or strategic thinking, think strategically. The assessment is really how you do things.
Mm.
And what happens is we want to be all things to all people, and we should be well rounded. And that is what the world teaches us. And if we're not something, then we should work hard at becoming that. But didn't, right, the Lord design us to be unique? In
Yeah.
session 1, I talked about fingerprints. I said, we are as unique as our fingerprints. So let me remind you, forensic scientists say there are no two alike, not even identical twins. And I don't know if we talked about this in session 1, Gail, but did we talk about how fingerprints are formed?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. So I'm going to just take down the screen. I want people to know this because it's important. Fingerprints are actually formed right in your mother's womb. So
Mm.
the fluid, the DNA in your mother's womb, and the way we move through the womb creates the ridges and traces
Wow.
on our fingerprints and our toes.
Wow.
So no two are alike, not even identical twins.
Mm.
And what's so unique about the Clifton Strengths Assessment is the order of your strengths actually determine your unique report. So I know that in the first session we did talk about this report being 1 in 33 million No two reports are alike. So there's other assessments, Myers-Briggs and DISC and Enneagram, which I love too. So there's so many. I love them all. But that's
Yeah.
the difference between Clifton Strengths. Each report is unique. So
Mhm.
let me pull it back up, Gail. We talked about these 4 domains. So even though there are 4 domains here, and it just means that these strengths kind of fall in these buckets, but it
Right.
doesn't mean that you don't relationship build or you don't get things done. It just means how you do it. That's what
Mhm.
it's talking about. But
Mhm.
they lend themselves to be in these buckets and spaces. And so I want to dive into that a little bit. The executing domain is really that task domain. So if we go back here, let me just go back one. When you look at executing and strategic thinking, who sit on the outside, those are your task
Mhm.
strengths.
Okay.
Those are the task superpowers. Executing is the actual tactical of doing, strategic is the thinking.
Mhm.
Then you have your influence and relationship building, and they're both your people domains. One
Mhm.
is more extroverted and one is more introverted.
Mhm.
So let's dive in. Executing then enjoys completing tasks. So, those of you listening, maybe some of you are like, yes, I need to get stuff done, right? You don't have to take the assessment maybe to even know how you fall into one of these buckets. So, in my keynotes, when I talk about the unique power of you, we go through this. Are you a person who is more systems, budgets, process oriented, right? And
Mhm.
you like timelines, you like checking things off your list. And that can actually be influential.
Mhm.
It's just how you do it. It's not if you do it. So
Mhm.
you can influence people with being reliable and getting tasks done and creating processes and systems. And don't you just love that picture of Gail there? So cute. I pulled some pictures of you that I just really, really love that show. I mean, here you're juggling things, you're getting stuff done, right? And this is
Mhm.
that influencing domain. This podcast is part of that influencing. It's that extroversion. An influencer has somebody who has a gift of gab. They are a persuasive person. They strike up conversations easily. They communicate well. And it's been said that they're going to be the teachers, politicians, salespeople, or direct sales leaders. So, how many of you out there listening actually have this superpower that you are able to strike up conversations about your product, that you're able to invite people on this journey, right? They're hearing your story. You're a great storyteller if you fall into this bucket. Next is the relationship building domain. These are the people who are seen as someone who cares deeply, somebody who loves to sit one on one, somebody who is that glue stick in a team. And it's more of that quiet, introverted relationship building strength where I'll give you a really great example. My husband and I, if we go to a fundraiser, I have high influencing communication and woo. You're going to learn what that is in some of my top strengths. And he has relator and harmony and in his, right, which is that relationship building glue stick. So when we walk into a fundraiser or a party or a family function, I go around the room. I love meeting people. I love hugging everyone. I love breaking the ice. I love hearing what's new. And my husband will pick the one person and sit with them during the entire fundraiser. He'll say, "Oh my gosh, how was it?" And at the end of wherever we go, and I'll say, "How was it? Who did you meet?" And he'll say, "Oh, I met Gail." And Gail is just amazing. And we had this great conversation. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. Who else did you meet? Gail. Gail does this, Gail does that. And he'll know everything about Gail. And then he'll say, and who did you meet? And I'll say, oh my gosh, I met Gail too. I love Gail. She's so fun. And you're right. We talked about our business. And then I went to the potluck table and I met so and so. And then I went over here and I met so and so. And then I met this person and I met that person. I'm gonna have lunch tomorrow with this person. So that is the difference.
Mhm.
Both highly relationship, right?
Mhm.
So then the strategic domain, this is the person who creates maps for people. They're the people who are the thinkers. And I put the mastery of your morning in there, Gail, because that's a strategy that
Mhm.
you have picked up. And so, individuals who have the strategic domain, and I'm very high in this, they love to learn. They have to have a plan A, B, and C. They have to process before they can actually take action.
Mm.
And so that's what that domain falls into. So do you
Mm.
have any questions before we move ahead, Gail?
No, it's good. Great overview.
Okay, so some of you listening, you may have not taken the assessment, but did you find yourself in any of these domains?
I
Did
bet
you
they
think, oh
did.
yeah, definitely. I'm Petra's husband. I'm sitting with Gail all night long, right? Or you're like, oh yeah, I've got to think, I've got to process before I can move forward, right? So that's just a quick overview. What
Mhm.
I want you to know also is guiding principles of Clifton Strengths. A lot of times we receive a report, whether it's this one or another one, and we go, oh, why don't I have this? Why am I not good at that? Oh, why is this stronger than this? Again, we are unique. This is why I teach the unique power of you. We are
Mhm.
wonderfully and fearfully made. And
Yes. Mhm.
themes that we're going to go through here on Gale, they're neutral.
Yeah.
Not one strength or superpower is better than another. They are not labels, right? We're not just this. We've
Mhm.
got to lead with positive intent. And guess what? Our differences are our advantages.
Mhm.
Just like a beautiful orchestra or a band, it needs different instruments. So, Gail, when you were like, why am I not well rounded? Well, maybe that is not the music that you are supposed to play in this world.
Mhm.
We all have a job. We all have a part in the bigger body of Christ. We all have our gifts and our talents. And so people need one another. Our differences are the advantages. And what
Mhm.
happens is we just want to be the same, or we want some of that or some of this.
Mhm.
When again, what would happen if we celebrated what was right with us instead of what we didn't have? So now we're going to look at Gail in the love seat. Are you ready, Gail?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
These are Gail's full 34 strengths. And you can see here that there's the top 10 and the rest. And Clifton Strengths also has a top five report that you can take as well.
Mhm.
The top five is how you naturally show up. You may not even realize that these are superpowers or gifts.
Mhm.
I'll share one of mine. My number one strength is positivity. And when I learned my report 8 years ago, is when I became a actually, it's actually been 9 or 10 years now, but I became a certified coach 8 years ago. And I saw my full report. Before then, I just had the top five. And I thought, well, isn't everybody positive? Of course, everyone's looking for the silver lining. Of course, I mean, how is this a superpower? And I can't believe this is my number one. I was confused. And people around me were like, what? Why are you confused? I'm like, well, I mean, don't you look for how things are going to work out? And they're like, no, actually, I don't. And this is why I hang out with you. And I'm like, oh, so what happens is these 34 descriptions that you see here, they're called talents. Some rise to the top,
Mhm.
right? Because of our natural makeup of our God-given design. So something's got to be at the bottom. And these natural talents that we do so easily, those become our strengths. And we don't even realize how powerful we truly are
Mhm.
because it comes so natural to us. And I don't know about you, Gail, but sometimes don't you see gifts and talents in people that they can't see in
All
themselves,
the time. All the time.
right? As a coach, we go, this is what I see, and people can't see it. Well,
Mhm.
that's what this report does. It draws it out and it
Mhm.
magnifies it. And so, when the other thing I do, Gail, is when I look at a report, I look at page 21 of the report, which you see over here to the right. And it's kind of what I call the DNA of your strengths. And this, even if I don't know someone as well as I know you, I can look at that and say, okay, this is what the person leads with. And when
Mhm.
I received your report, Gail, I have to tell you, I know we're not supposed to have strengths envy, right? But I was like, wow, this woman is an influencer because influencing actually the most common strengths or talents are executing and relationship building, the
Mhm.
purple and the blue. The least common are the influencing and strategic thinking. We just don't see them that much in Clifton Strengths. And you are leading off the charts with influencing.
Mhm.
Then you're executing, then the relationship building, and then the strategic, then strategic thinking, and then relationship building. So
Mhm.
that's the top five. Then the 6 through 10 are other talents that have become really strong in you. I call 11 through 15 kind of like the toolbox, the things
Okay.
that we can pull out and magnify. And then there's the bottom five, the things that are in the middle. We don't look at as much, but
Mhm.
then we look at the bottom five. Okay, what is it that really isn't that strong in me? Because remember, differences are the advantages. You are
Mhm.
not looking at your bottom five going, how can I be what I'm not? You are looking at the bottom five going, who are my helpers? Who is the perfect teammate? And I can't see everyone that's listening, right? We can't see
Right.
them. But
Right.
Gail, when I am in a room, and I'm trying to think of the largest workshop I've done with Clifton Strengths besides a keynote. I've probably maybe 150 people. And
Mhm.
when I'm in a room of 150 team members in an organization, I'll say, how many of you are married or have a partnership with somebody opposite of you?
Yeah.
You? You
Yeah.
also,
Yes.
right?
Isn't that
Raise
isn't
your
that
hands.
all of us?
Um, Opposites attract
Mhm.
because we love in them what we don't have,
Mhm.
and vice versa. Until you're
Mhm.
married 30 plus years, and then you're like, why do you chew like that?
Yeah.
So, it's so funny. So, that's what we look at that. And then when I work with clients, the only time we spend time in the bottom five is if they are stuck in a certain thing, personally or professionally. And then we look at what they have instead,
Mhm.
what can overcome, and who can they have to help. So
Mhm.
I want to know from you, Gail,
Mhm.
we'll keep this up here a little bit longer so people can see what surprised you the most about your report. Was there anything, tell me your first reaction when you received it,
Mhm.
and if there was anything that surprised you.
Well, I think you had kind of prepared me. One thing that was really helpful was that the definition, the words don't necessarily mean what we typically think in by their
Webster
definition.
Dictionary,
But
yes.
yes, it's not a Webster dictionary. So that was a little helpful because activator, command, believe self. I mean, some of them I was like, but once I got into them, it was like, oh yeah. So I think
Yes, you want to read the descriptions. You're right. Yes.
yeah. And I didn't know it was really helpful today to hear that the outside things are those executing and the inside are the relationship. So that because I wasn't seeing influence as much relationship building, but I can see that more now. I think there were a lot of things as a coach. Some of the things that surprised me most were in the assessment, it tells you, it goes through your strengths, but then it says, no, some things to look out for, which is, of course, where I go, look out for
We all
this.
do. You're not
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. And so, and I've heard some of these things before, but, my intensity can be intimidating. I know it can be a gift and the enthusiasm and excitement or, intensity. Another thing was the urge to help people take action. So I saw there were a lot of things that I felt really kind of reassured for. I call them like little Jesus hugs that that have helped me to be gifted as a coach because I can see things in others and help them. It's like, oh, I can see where you're going. Just take this action and you're on your way. But this was helping me to recognize that they may need more time. And I'm not always empathetic to that need for more time. I'm wanting them to get going because that getting going is
Oh, it's so
my
good.
mind where they're going to receive the blessing and get where they want to be, but I need to step back and honor them that they may need more time. And like just even hearing you say, you're that green side, you've got to process. I don't have to process very long. And I'm like, all right, that's
Oh,
go,
I
go.
mean, you have activator number one. There's no processing. I have it
Yeah.
actually 11, so it's pretty high for me too.
Mhm.
But not as high for you
Yeah.
as it is for you. And I love how you said, I want them to get moving. I want them to get moving. That's why you're such a great coach because you can spur people into action. That's your superpower. Where I
Mhm.
would say, well, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. You would say, you're ready. Like this is what I see for you. And then I can believe that and move forward. But I need sometimes, I need people in my life too to say, done is better than perfect. Like
Hmm.
this is where we're going. And
Yeah.
so, right, we all have that gift. I
Yeah.
love that you said you can see those things for people. And let me
Mhm.
pull this up. Um, because you said I don't necessarily have the empathy sometimes, right? You actually have empathy number 6. And so
Mhm.
this is why it's real important to read like the definitions too. You may not have the empathy for inaction because
Ah.
you're an action taker, right? But this is your blue. This is your big blue. It's number 6 where you're like, why am I not blue? I'm like, because you're orange. Um, but it's empathy feels
Mhm.
people deeply. You can feel what people are feeling without words being spoken,
Yeah, for
and you
sure.
can give them words for what they're feeling because look, you have empathy and communication next.
Mhm.
So do you see like the order of it matters as well? And
Yeah.
so I just wanted to touch on that empathy part because you do
Yeah.
have it, and it's so interesting, Gail, because I mean, again, I speak this language. My family, they've all taken Clifton Strengths. We now speak this language. I think it's highly helpful for personal and professional. But when you said, I can just see things, I can move them forward, and there's an intensity about me. Well, you
Mhm.
have futuristic number 8.
Mm.
You're a visionary.
Mhm.
You are 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It is fleshed out. You see it. Like you don't even live in the here and now. People who have high futuristic, they're visionaries. You're taking people places. That is your gift. That's your
Mhm.
job, right?
Mhm.
And how fun that you actually are aligned with your
Yeah.
strengths. It's always so nice when we see that. And I think that most of the time when people are struggling and they're stuck, they're not aligned with who they were created to be.
Right. Amen. It's so interesting too because and you mentioned the opposites. My husband, he's got to process. He's got to think. And it used to just make me crazy. I was like, this is so clear. Let's just do this. And it's like now, and I've learned 31 years later,
Same
but
here.
just learn to like Gail, um, be patient. He's gotta come. And sometimes he slows me down and it's a good thing. And sometimes I speed him up and it's a good thing.
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, Gail. I love that. I love, yes. And I coach couples as well. And
Mhm.
so I have and family members and that's the understanding.
Yeah.
I remember when my husband took his assessment and we swapped assessments, date night, here's yours, here's mine, and all the things I told you to do, underline what you agree with, circle what you have questions with. And we read each other's assessment and I was like, wait a minute, you underlined this statement. I'm like, is this how you think? He was like, yeah, like all the time. And I'm like, wow, I literally never, ever, ever in my whole entire life, not now, not never, not in the future, I have never had this thought. And he's like, wow, that explains a lot. Right?
Exactly. That's
So
so
it gives you
good.
this understanding and there's so many times and the reason I love this assessment or any like self-awareness in general because there's so
Yes.
many times where we can have all of the tools and all of the framework or a map and we're still stuck. And a
Mhm.
lot of the time it's because we don't have words to really even say who we are or we've been through trauma or a major life change that we lose our way.
Mhm.
And so this is just a way to kind of calibrate. But you're a processor too. I just want to show you number 8, futuristic, number 9, strategic.
Okay.
Strategic is my number 2. We are both map makers.
Mhm.
We need a plan A, B, and C, or we have it. We recognize patterns in people
Mhm.
and we can help them process and move
Mhm.
ahead. However, how you naturally show up first
Yeah.
is let's go, let's activate, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
And so you're ready to move. And then your number 2 command
Mhm.
is a strength, right? That has confidence. Command brings emotional clarity. Command can kind of is a natural born leadership quality. So command is concise and driven. So if you have activator and command, you are
Mhm.
saying, let's go, and I know where we're going,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so that is a beautiful combination for somebody
Mhm.
who's leading people and getting them unstuck and coaching them. And
Mhm.
that's also where your team, in direct sales where we met, had that confidence to trust you. They
Mm.
knew, okay, she's going to make it happen and she knows where she's going.
Mhm.
So
That's fun.
those are just the top two, but tell me a little bit more about what resonated with you on the report and what you found to be important or surprising.
Yeah, I think the activator can be reserved, and that's it was interesting. And especially about your conversations around your experience and success. And I like to think that I'm pretty transparent, but I go back to my father, and I think some of these things are, they're our natural state, but then they're influenced. We're so influenced by those in our life. And dad was always very, I'll never forget when I handed him my resume after college. And he looked it over and handed it back to me, and he looked and this is gonna sound really harsh, but he was trying to teach me something powerful. He looked at me, he said, "No, you do realize this is your past." As and I was like, because it was a good resume. I had done a lot of things in college, and I had a lot of experiences, and there were a lot of things on there I was, for
Yes.
my interviews. And, but he's like, "But you do realize this is your past now, right?" Like, so it's move on to what are you gonna create now? What are you gonna do now? Who are you gonna serve now? And so, I think that does make me a little reserved sometimes in experiences or successes, like I should not deserve to share them, but I think sometimes I that, I wanna the word only that I can come up with is kinda like it robs people of some of your life experiences. Not that you share things to brag, but you share things to this is, the road. Because if you don't share those experiences, they can't trust sometimes where you've been.
Yeah.
So, that was interesting in Activator, that instinct to be reserved.
Oh,
Yeah. So I thought
that's
that was
well, and I wonder if, well, first of all, I want to say it sounds like your dad was very futuristic,
yes,
like
very much
you.
so.
So he was a visionary. So
Yes.
always looking ahead.
Yes.
And it's interesting because in our family, my daughter just got married, and her husband has adaptability really high, which is somebody who lives in the moment, who's in the here and now. And when I asked my daughter, like, what do you love about him the most? She said, he's just in the moment. Our family has adaptability low. We're
Mhm.
always thinking ahead. We can't, we have to kind of pull back to enjoy. And so
Yeah.
the activator, pulling back, or as you said, it's a little reserved. It may
Mhm.
be because this natural inclination to really check first, because activator, that here's how it's described.
Yeah.
People exceptionally talented in activator can make things happen by turning thoughts into action.
Mhm.
So maybe you are thinking, right? You are, I mean, not maybe, you are thinking, and the thinking and the action may be at conflict sometimes. Well, do I
Interesting.
share this? Do I not? Do I move forward? Do I not? Right? Because
Yeah.
it's turning those thoughts into action. And then especially with command, you are clear and concise, and and you like to lead, right? And you're a natural born leader, so that you may be a little bit more careful. Like, is this the way that I go?
Right.
And a lot of people who I've coached too, who have really high influencing, they will tend to shrink back because of how others have received them.
I could see that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But when you should really be living in that power,
Yes.
because you are a high influencer.
Mhm.
And you are the one that motivates and spurs people into action. People who are high in influencing, they're the megaphones in the organization. I
Mhm.
have so many, because they're a rare talent, so many organizations and teams that I work with, and we do a gap analysis of strengths. And they'll say, we don't have anyone who has influencing strengths. So we don't have anyone. And I'll say, well, is it a problem? Is this, again, right? It's the bottom.
Mhm.
Is this something we need? Now I'll tell them to call you. She has enough for everyone. But is this something we need? And they say yes. Especially I work with a lot of nonprofits and organizations and teams who have a big mission. And they'll say, oh my gosh, no one is telling the story.
Yeah.
No one is the bridge builder. No one is the megaphone.
Right.
So that's where you come in. That's where those strengths come in, pointing people and telling the story. And you do it so naturally and so easily. And you know what I see here, and Gail, you let me know when we're out of time because I could talk about this all day long. So you
I
let me
know,
give
right?
me like a high five and I'll know it's time to wrap up. But the third one is belief.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the big one for me.
Yes. So belief, right, is defined as people exceptionally talented have certain core values unchanging. Out of these values emerge a defined purpose or their beliefs. So now
Yeah.
look at this. Activator number one,
Hmm.
person who takes action and moves forward. Command, they know where they're going. And
Hmm.
belief, they have
Hmm.
a purpose.
Yeah.
And isn't that exactly what you are doing right now
Well, yeah,
in
that was
your
really,
business?
yeah. The belief one was really, that meant a lot to me because just the, wanting believes in a meaningful existence. These are some of the things I wrote down from the descriptions that really touched me, and wants longs to enrich others' lives. Like to me, it's like if I'm not enriching someone's life, what's the point? Why am I sucking air? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody feel that way? Apparently not. Transparency. I mean, I do feel like I try to be really transparent. I'm always with my clients. I'm like, okay, I'm peeling back the curtain here.
You're doing it right now.
Well, yeah, okay, yes. And wanting the world to be a better place. I mean, isn't that, the Great Commission? I mean, aren't we called to, carry hope and carry light? And, so that one made me really happy. That belief was up there. Um,
Yeah, and
I think,
belief, right? That strength, it's purple.
mhm.
It's a task.
That's my purple one.
It's an executing. So it means you don't do anything unless you believe in it.
Mhm.
That's real. That's this core value. And it's so
Yeah,
interesting because I had an executive that I coached for a nonprofit. And here's, I think we talked about this in the very first part. There's that light and the darkness to all of our strengths, right? We can implode on ourselves.
yeah.
And this is why it's so important to know how you're wired so that you can take those measurements to say, okay, when am I being my best self with this strength? And when
Yeah.
is it an overdrive? So just like a superhero, it can implode. So he had belief really high and he could not believe that other people didn't believe what he believed.
Oh,
So he
yes.
had a direct correlation with this nonprofit. He had that experience, and therefore he was the CEO of
Yeah,
the organization.
yeah.
And when we talked, he was so frustrated with some of the staff. And when we talked, he said, "Well, I mean, you know, I can't believe they don't." I said, "Do you think that maybe some people are just here for the paycheck? They're here for collecting, they're here for." And he said, "No, we don't pay people enough. There's no way. People are
Mhm.
here because of the mission."
Right.
And so when we had the meeting, I said, "How many of you are here for the mission?" Only half of them raised their hand.
Mhm.
But he was like, "Why would you be here?" Right? Because his belief was so strong.
Right.
The same with us. And Gail, you make a great point because, bringing this up because this is where self-awareness
Yes.
gives birth to other awareness. If
Mm.
I know myself, like you said, I oh, I don't know where she went. It's still recording. If I know myself, then I can know others better. And that's the beauty of it. So knowing yourself also means that you are other aware. And that's something to know about your strengths. So I'm going to keep talking to give Gail her love seat, and hopefully she'll be able to jump back on. But I just wanted to point out to her because when she said I'm not well rounded, I wanted to point out to her that we don't need to be because our differences are truly our advantages. So let me pull up her report again here. And what you will see is activator, command, belief. We talked about those, but also self assurance and responsibility. So, Gail's self assurance is that inner compass, it's an inner knowing. It's also an influencing talent because she has an inner knowing that guides her forward and allows her, right, to guide you forward. It's it's a It's an it's a confidence influencing talent where you trust yourself. And how wonderful is it to be led by someone who is already has that inner compass, somebody that is trusting themselves. I just kept going coaching you, Gail.
I'm so glad you did.
So
Yay. You're so
we're talking
smart.
about self-assurance, and that is that inner compass you have that allows you to trust yourself. You have this innate um, talent and possibility, and that is what draws people to you. Because we all want to follow somebody that is trustworthy. We all want to follow somebody that has that confidence, and that shows up in your strength as well. And then the fifth one that we'll talk about here today, again, we're just scratching the surface, is responsibility.
Yeah.
So the responsibility, also high executing strength. The
Hmm.
responsibility strength is Gail's gonna do what she says she's gonna
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
So people that have high responsibility, it's not just, oh, I say, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, but it's also a psychological ownership of something.
Yeah.
She feels a high responsibility to herself, to your
Hmm.
clients. I know you do to your business. I happen to have responsibility as my number six. So it's right after that one. And I feel that deeply. We can also overcommit, Gail. Again, there's that light and that darkness, right? We can say,
Yeah.
yes, I got it, because we have a lot of things. But that is how that shows up for you, and especially
Yeah.
that self-assurance part as
Yeah,
well.
I want to ask you, Petra, on this because
Yeah.
so for me, I have really over the years feel like I've gotten a lot better with this idea of not overcommitting and putting a lot of space in my day. But where this one gets me, like you talked about that you can implode on
Yes.
some of
You
your
can
days.
be in overdrive. Yes.
Yeah, but for me, it's around the area of just like I had a coach and she said, gosh, your level of like it's this like I said I was going to do it, so I have to do it. It's not so much that I add more to my plate, it's I take the things that I do have to a higher degree of responsibility. And sometimes the Lord's like, I didn't ask you to do that. Or Gail, like even this morning, he was like, why don't you push that task off to October? And I was like, oh, like, and just, and it, all of a sudden, this like this space opened up in my life, and this pressure went away, and it's like he's saying, I didn't ask you to force yourself to finish that task in September.
Yep.
So that's where I can, it can. Did you use the word implode? Like when we take those,
Implode, or it can
yeah,
be an overdrive, right? Or
yes,
just like any superhero. And what I say is, on a spiritual level,
yes,
this is God's given design,
yes,
but the enemy knows our design too.
amen, amen.
So when the Lord said, I'm going to make Gail respond, I'm going to give her this gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whoever, when, if you're listening and you're resonating to some of the same gifts and talents that Gail has, right? So it's this beautiful gift and talent we've received, and the Lord has made us as unique beings. And then the enemy knows, oh, so our design as well. And he'll say, oh, you made Gail highly responsible. Well, let's just put that in overdrive so
Mm,
that she will feel responsible for everything. And that way,
mm,
let's just add another layer so that she feels like if she doesn't do this, she's failing. Or,
yes.
right? And so then
Mhm.
we have to really ask ourselves. So when I coach people with high responsibility and having it myself, I always say, who put this responsibility on you?
Right.
And Dr. David Jeremiah has this beautiful quote that I pulled for myself from his book called Forward. And he says, our responsibility is our response to God's ability.
Oh, our responsibility is our response to God's
God's
ability.
ability.
That is
Because
so
who is
good.
all able? Who
Amen.
is all able? Responsibility is a response to ability.
So
It's a
good.
response, I am able. And so then we have
Yes.
to ask ourselves, well, am I able? Am I able to do this task this month? Nope.
Mhm.
The Lord said in October, right? So we
Yes.
go to the one who is able. We go to the one who is able to put this in perspective for us.
Yes. Yes.
Funny story about responsibility is I was in an organization, and we went after when we had our debrief, everybody took their assessment. We had our strengths workshop, and I talked to some of the leaders before, and it turns out that the three of them had responsibility number one, and they
Wow.
all carrying the weight of a certain goal or
Hmm.
objective.
Hmm.
And they all thought it was their responsibility. And they didn't communicate because they felt bad because it was their responsibility. They were not going to show weakness or show this or ask for help because it's my responsibility. Then
Mm.
it was so funny because I opened up the team grid and we looked at the strengths DNA of the whole organization. And they were like, "You have responsibility?" And then the other one's like, "You're carrying all this weight too?" And I'm like, "Yeah. So can you guys now communicate, collaborate, connect, and trust each other?" Right?
Yes.
And so they
Yes.
were like, "High five. Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't need to carry it alone." And which,
Amen.
says we were not supposed to do that anyway. But these things can go into overdrive. And the
Hmm.
same with, we talked about self-assurance, the one right above responsibility.
Hmm.
Self-assurance is that inner compass, that inner knowing. Well, my husband has self-assurance in his top five. And
Hmm.
because he has this innate trust and ability to move forward and this confidence, he doesn't ask for a lot of input.
Yeah.
He's like, "I got it. I know." So self-assurance and responsibility, right? And so we have to go,
Yeah.
okay, should we include others? Should we ask someone? Because I really already have the answer, but right, it depends on if you're
Yes.
on a team or in a relationship. And so, how many of us, Gail, I think about when I was leading a team in direct sales, we needed all hands on deck. I remember for a breast cancer fundraiser, I didn't ask for input or strengths. I didn't know this language back then.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and we just needed everybody on deck. And then I remember we had the event and there was like some food and it was still had plastic on it. And then the person who was actually the greeter was sitting behind the chair. I wasn't looking for gifting and talent the way I am now.
Mhm. Right.
I wasn't
Right.
asking what can people contribute? How, I mean,
Yes.
even, I mean, I was, but not to.
Not the way you know now, right? Oh, this is so good. This is so good. So Petra, let everybody. So thank you so much, first of all, for
You
putting me
are
in the
so
love
welcome. I
seat.
hope
And
you can see how amazing you are and how your superpowers, even though they happen to be predominantly one color, are perfect just as they should be.
well, thank you, thank you. I was happy for that little purple that popped in there at least. But so and I do it's something, you guys, that you can continue to go back to and continue to learn from. It's not one of these things where you look through it and you do get a quick at a glance, but then you keep going back. It's almost like this is kind of strange that I'm going to liken it to almost like a devotional, but it's about you, and you can go back and pray with the Lord over it. Holy Spirit, show me more. And something, the Holy Spirit will bring something of like, oh, that's why I do that, or that's why that happened, or that she responded that way because she was experiencing this. So I do
I
highly
love
recommend it.
that, Gail.
Yeah.
Yes.
I highly recommend it. And so Petra, tell everybody how they can connect with you if they want to move forward in this and just learn more, and tell them it's so much more than just learning about yourself, because it's going to make your relationships more successful, whether that's in business, in marriage, in family, because you're going to have a keen insight in you, but you're going to have a keener insight in those around you that you serve and love.
Yes. I mean, well, you said it perfectly. So, it is self-awareness, right? Is about social awareness. It's about your relationship. But when I actually just, your audience here are business owners, you are
Yes.
leaders, and knowing yourself is
Mhm.
also knowing your brand. What
Yes.
journey are you inviting people to? How are you serving people? How will you show up for them? I mean, Gail, knowing that she is the megaphone, she is the bridge builder, she is the person who is going to spur you on, give you direction, and she's going to give you the energy to move, and
Mhm.
it is for his glory. So,
Amen.
how are you designed for his glory? What is your brand? What is the unique thing that you can give to the world? And who's on your team who may have something that you don't even know that
Mhm.
you can partner with to ignite your organization and to just strengthen that
Yeah.
brand of who you're serving and what you're doing, and just understanding each other better. So, yes, there's so much
Yeah.
to do with this work. I love how you said to look at it like a devotional. I had not done
Mhm.
that, but yes, praying over your strengths and
Mhm.
asking the Lord to keep them in health,
Yes, amen.
keep you from, keep you from imploding or being in
Yes,
overdrive, and
yes,
giving it to him. Your unique design is his. And so
yeah.
I love that. So anybody that wants to learn more, I do
Mhm.
one-on-one coaching, I do team coaching, I do workshops, I am a keynote speaker. You can find me at petracrebs.com. The 90-minute strengths discovery, I have a special price. I think you're posting that with this
Yes,
podcast. Yeah, so you guys will know all about that. But
yeah.
I just thank you for this time, Gail. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to sit in the love seat. And I hope you have felt all of my love for you today.
Yes, well, you are so dear, and I can't recommend Petra enough, ladies. If you're going to go down this road, she is the one you want to be working with. So thank you so much, and I will have all of her contact information in the show notes, so you'll be able to check that out and get that discount as well. So Petra, thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you. Thank you for letting me ignite a few of your strengths. I can't wait to keep going.
Oh, so fun. I really appreciate you.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Bye bye.
Bye.